Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the #1 show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. Episodes drop every other Monday, where we discuss the biggest Joshi news, review shows, and preview the hottest upcoming Joshi action.
So whether you're a new fan or an old fan, we've got something here for you at Jumping Bomb Audio.
Check us out on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm John, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Wednesday the 20th of March 2024. This is episode 302. Shall we start off with a comment from Twitter listener Trudy11479666 who says, pussy in bio. Don't know what that means, but yeah, so maybe some sort of New Japan reference. It's a storyline I've not been following, I don't know. But a lot of people have been sending pussy in bio to us on Twitter. So
really?
I don't get the reference.
I wish I could help you. I mean, should I Google it? I'm almost afraid, but all right, let's I mean, let's not like my search history is pristine. You're saying PUSSY in what?
In bio.
Bio, BIO. Okay. My pussy in bio. Here we go. Know your meme. Why is everyone spamming pussy in bio? Oh, okay. It's a spam bot apparently. Let's see here.
I thought it was attractive lady listeners who were so aroused by our excellent content that they would expose themselves to us.
No, unfortunately,
you ruined it.
Shall I read? Is that your pussy in bio, or are you just happy to see me? The catchphrase, my pussy in bio, often written in a weird way with Unicode symbols, it's been everywhere on X/Twitter lately. And it's not just the bots who are spamming it. What's the joke behind the phrase? Where did it start? Well, here you go. My pussy in bio is a copy pasta meme. What the fuck does that mean? I need a fucking translation diction. That's what I need. That parodies bots spamming the phrase in replies to viral posts on Twitter. The phrase can often be seen posted on non sequitur. What? The phrase can often be seen posted non sequitur in a middle of a joke or used as a spam reply with image. Okay, I don't understand what this. It's nothing.
When I tweeted about there's a great New Japan Cup final, blah blah blah. Friend of the show, half of the Super Dadcast, Elliot, replied and said, "Allow me to be the first comment that isn't pussy and bio and say the match will fill my needs."
I feel so old.
That popped me. Thank you. Elliot.
Yes, thank you for that. I thought it would like. I mean, if I saw that, I would be like, am I the pussy in the Because I'm the what's the pussy? I don't understand what that means. Yeah, this is maybe some of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life, and now we're going to get fucking 9,000 spams of that in Twitter. So just FYI, yeah, silliness. So unfortunately, it has nothing to do with anyone wanting to expose their vaginal parts to us. Unfortunately.
But if there's anyone listening who does want to expose their penis and or vagina,
or both,
consensually, let us know. Yeah,
I tell you what. Back in the Purecast days, we would get listeners sending stuff.
Colin's DM just absolutely full.
Yep. Colin was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "I don't know." And it was a listener who would send the shit, and then. Yeah, it was pretty fucking like we're just like, wow, okay, and like at first you're ignoring it because you're like, this is obvious. Like, who in their right mind would fucking send us two clowns anything even remotely provocative? And it, like, we thought, okay, we're just going to ignore it, and it was like a legitimate listener. Let's just say that scale of 1 to 10. I don't know, Joe. I might go solid 6.5. Solid 6.5. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible.
Really missed the glory days, haven't I?
I know. I'm sorry.
The Gaijin Collectibles sponsorship gig. Pussy's been sent in the DM.
We still haven't gotten the Tenga Egg sponsorship as well. So, all right. So there you go. That's stuff. And I do remember that. And it was only for a while. It wasn't like it was all the time. Like maybe like a month or two, like time frame. Like it wasn't a long time. But like they would reference, it could have been some dude just fucking busting balls and just sending us nudes of somebody else, and they listened, and who knows? I don't know, but yeah, I just remember seeing scantily clad young lady, and again, like a 6 or 6.5. I think it's a safe statement. That was a weird couple months. I'm not gonna lie, that was a weird couple months.
No, I'm just going to get loads of DMs with that image of Taguchi just spreading his ass cheeks.
We're going to get the worst. Honestly, we're just going to get just bombarded with like guys' assholes. Ugh. Good for you. Thank God I'm not on that account. Oh, I'd be throwing up. All right.
Wouldn't be the first time. Don't you forget the wonderful anal bleaching discourse we had on the Discord server a few months ago.
Yeah. I mean, the whole practice of anal bleaching seems very. Well, I guess if you're in that industry, if you're like in a porn industry or a sex work, I guess that's what you would want. I don't know. I get. You know what? I will say this: there's nobody else has a butthole like girls in porn, right? It is an immaculate thing, and I'm sure that there's a lot of maintenance going on. And a lot of when they know they have to perform in that category, I'm sure they do a lot of prep work. Like if you went in my ass,
I think I was going to say I think we've just found the stakes for our next deathmatch bet. It's the anal bleaching deathmatch.
Like what is involved in anal bleaching? Do you have any idea? Like is it an actual like do they stick needles in there? Is it a cream? Like how does that work? Don't look it up. You know what? I take it back. Forget it. I don't want you to.
Yeah, so something is I just like to leave to the imagination. Yep. I don't want to spoil the mystique of it.
Yeah, if anybody can chime in with that, the world's #1 New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast, where everyone loves to get involved in tomfoolery and shenanigans when it comes to not only anal bleaching but New Japan Pro Wrestling itself. It's just a crazy world we live in. And also, I'm very excited, Joel. As you well know, we did have breaking news, and by the time this gets out there, because what is it tonight, right? We have one of our listeners who's promised a special surprise with a sign at AEW. So I offered a nice little compensation, a prize, if you will, if this happens. So if you're listening,
shout out to Daryl. Ichiban Sweet Boy, Daryl.
Yes, right. Ichiban Sweet Boy. So we're hoping he makes it. It'll be fun. You'll know it. You'll trust me, people. You'll get. Here's the thing. Like I'm gonna be splitting between that just to see if this dude gets it done. And the Leafs play tonight as well. I'm gonna be super excited. Like your fucking DMs are gonna blow up. Well, you'll be in bed by that point, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you'll wake up to it. That's for fucking sure. You'll see the explosion on your Twitter box. All right.
Is that going to be an explosion of men's anuses or something to do with it?
I'm sure both.
It's going to be a mixture.
Yeah, it'll be a nice solid mix of male buttholes and hey, I saw the sign. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. I'm excited though. I hope it comes through.
And hey, Damon, we're so back. Booze writes in and says, how much better do you feel about the future of New Japan now that the unnamed official has returned? It's our boy.
Yeah.
Big Kikuchi.
Yeah, we had some pictures.
Apparently he's been back for a while.
Well, he's got a tracksuit, right? I mean, they're giving him the merch. So I hope. I mean, look, I think there is a noticeable difference in how this company has been booked with him and without him. So, yeah, when we saw those pictures, that was a nice surprise, right? That was a nice surprise. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Look, the dude's got a creative mind, and if he was the person behind the scenes, kind of feeding the company these ideas that they went with. Look, I'm not turning it down. I'm not shitting on. One of the greatest moments or greatest runs in New Japan Pro Wrestling history could definitely be, attributed to this gentleman's ideas. So if he's on board and if he's kind of getting involved again, fantastic. Love it.
And a bit of contract news as well. So a question from Daryl who says, any word on Coughlin? Is he done? And how happy are we that Gabe has re-signed? I think that angry urchin has been a truly great redemption story when we remember how concerned we were for him only a few years ago. The Liam Gallagher of Puro. So no, we've not heard anything else about Coughlin. But really good news that Gabe Kidd has re-signed. I think Driller Maloney said that he's re-signed as well. So yeah, my understanding was a lot of these guys were working on like very sort of short-term rolling extensions on their deals, but hopefully these ones are a bit longer. And I've said that I think Driller has a tremendous upside. He's a guy that I think could do a lot of stuff beyond the junior division. I think he's a guy I'd be looking up to move up to heavyweight because he looks absolutely preposterous as a junior heavyweight. And Gabe Kidd, if he can sort himself out, because I think following the Osaka cage match, there's been a change and probably a good one. And I've talked about it last week about thinking about sustainability and taking care of your co-workers. I think that's something important and finding that balance between that and also keeping alive that little spark that helps you get over with the fans in the first place. But very good news. I'm glad they're both sticking around.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that is good news. And with Gabe, it's, not only taking care of others, that everyone was, kind of looking at side-eyed a little bit. You want to take care of yourself, right, Gabe? Right? You want to take care of yourself. We know the challenges that he has, he came forth with, right? And, I've always said that, when you have those struggles, sometimes being alone and not having that support system and not having anyone to kind of guide you a little bit could be a dangerous thing, right? If you get in one of those moods and one of those spirals, it can be tough sledding getting out, right? And maybe not the smartest decisions, and and I speak of experience, right? Let's put it that way. So, let's make sure everything's sorted. Again, we still love the air of unpredictability that he brings. I think that's a good thing. But again, I think there's smart, efficient, and also things that aren't going to put you in the harm's way, ways of making that happen. So good. I don't know how long the deals are. Are they 2-year deals? Do you know?
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure if it was announced how long
Okay.
they were.
All right. Maybe we can ask around. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good thing. I think those guys are again, I'm not saying they're the pillars of the company, but I think they're good assets to have, especially and if WrestleMania weekend, which is right around the corner, Joel, is any indication, people are just fucking hoovering up people. And there's not a lot of established talent that's out there to be had. So where do you go looking? You go looking for guys who are, might be up for contracts, specifically in the promotion that we like so much. So yes, it's good to kind of lock down some of these guys to say, okay, we're committed to you. You're committed to us. Let's do it.
So before we get to the New Japan Cup finals, I'd just like to take a whistle-stop tour of the latter stages of the tournament and the matches we didn't get to discuss. So there was Yota Tsuji defeating El Fantasma, which I thought was a really good match, but it sort of led me to a lot of discussions about El Fantasma because it seems that, well, our Discord at least, a very down on him at the moment, and sort of struggling to get too excited about El Phantasmo. I feel the tag title situation has really lost a lot of steam and direction for him, and also the fact that he got hoovered up into the Guerrillas of Destiny, Bullet Club, endless feuding. That, to me, has done a lot of harm to El Phantasmo, which is not necessarily connected to his in-ring work. I think for him, he's been let down by the booking rather than him necessarily missing something in-ring, because I thought this is a really good match, and I think ship has probably sailed on him being a significant singles wrestler, because I thought there were times when they could have capitalized on that when he was hot, but it feels that they've missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, and you're right. Like I think the biggest challenge that people have right now, and let's not muddy the waters, it's the fact that I don't necessarily think that he's being used as well as his talent should allow, right? And that's falls right squarely on the shoulders of the programs that he's in, the talent that he's working with, etc. I am not on that boat of waving my hand at him at this point, because I truly believe it is a case of a guy who's just put in a role that's like, okay, what are you going to do? You try to make the most of it, but okay. And I will also say that, yes, the easiest path that I think us, along with everyone who is a fan of this product, kind of map out in their own heads, is that ship has long sailed, right? The easy route to turn this guy into a major player in the promotion feels like, well, okay, they missed an incredible opportunity. That being said, I don't think it's too difficult. Like, I don't think he's put in a position where he's, Yoshihashi of 4 years ago, right? I think there's plenty that they can do to right the ship. They just have to commit to it. They just have to do it and put the guy in a position to win, as opposed to, okay, we're going to keep you here to tread water and still try to do your best to be, as relevant as you possibly can. That sucks. That's a tough spot to be in. So, this match I thought it was good. I mean, again, I don't think anybody needs to go run and pop on New Japan World to check it out if you missed it. But I think it does speak a lot to the fact that there's a lot left in the tank with him, and I wouldn't want to see the company give up. And here's the thing too, again, you can only judge on what you've been watching in the past month, 2 months, half a year, whatever, and they're reacting on what they're seeing in front of them, right? So yeah, I mean, it's like us sitting here and saying, well, Evil sucks and Show sucks. Well, okay, it's not that they suck. It's that they're in this fucking faction where they're being asked to do things that, okay, you think that there's more to be had instead of shit that, makes us, want to vomit. And I think that's ELP in the sense that there's plenty there. There's plenty left in the tank. And all they got to do is just turn on the burner, and I think we'll be okay. The easiest path, it was there. They could have taken it. They fucked it up. No doubt about it. And here's the thing, too. I think they would admit to it, too. I think they would. But you got to do something. Time's running out. Time's a ticking. And you don't want him to turn into Yoshihashi of 4 years ago.
And then we had Ren Narrative defeating Zack Sabre Jr. with a bit of an upset there, although I did suspect it was going to go this way with a lot of the shenanigans to protect Zack in defeat there. But I was watching that and thinking that, Ren looks much improved now. He seems a lot more confident and his work seemed crisper. And I do feel that he is getting better. I really enjoyed the Shota Umino singles main event they had at Korakuen last month. But I kind of fear with Ren that I'm kind of getting into this mindset where I have to sort of squint to see it, if you know what I mean. Where I'm just like, yeah, if you look at this, then he's got better at this. Where, like, from your point of view, how do you see Ren progressing, and particularly compared to his Reiwa Musketeer compatriots.
Maybe I'm naive, and maybe I'm a little jaded. I don't think it takes a lot of skill, and I could be dead wrong. And again, and there are arguments against it. Trust me, but I don't think it's that difficult to play that type of heel. I really don't. Like, okay, you want to make sure that you're in position and the referee's out of position and all of that to make sure that it's effective. And you want to, but like, to me, I don't know. Like, do you find that element of pro wrestling a difficult thing, being a cheaty rule breaker kind of guy? I don't like there is no nuance to that to me. Like, you have a guy like Kanemaru, right? Where, okay, there is some of that element that's always there, but there's, that it's also accompanied with a guy who can take care of himself in the ring and is a smart cookie and can work a match and blah, 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 blah. Like, I just don't know how, like, this side of any type of character development is really a tough stretch for me. Like, I just don't see how difficult it is. And what are you learning? And what are you getting? Is it crowd reactions? Is it how to work a cheaty style heel? I don't know. I just don't think it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, this is groundbreaking work, right? I don't know. I just find it to be, again, I don't want to say easy. Please don't take it that way. I'm saying, of all the things to learn in pro wrestling, we need to now develop his skills in this manner. I don't know. I don't get it. And I think it's one of the things that like makes the show thing even more like, what are we doing? Because I don't think this is like, and again, if I'm wrong, let me know, Joel, but like, I don't see how this helps develop him into anything special. Help me out.
I think part of the issue here, and it's a topic that obviously was going to come up at some point in this part of the show, where they really went in heavy on the House of Torture stuff with the booking. And I understand why. I get that it's a vehicle to help get over the other Musketeers. So to give Tsuji that bit, well, first of all, him eliminating Narita and then eliminating Evil, who at that point was the last House of Torture representative in the tournament. And that was a very cathartic moment. But just the effect of having House of Torture so prevalent across the and look, I like House of Torture more than the average fan. I think I always have a little chuckle with all the shenanigans, and there was some quite funny and silly stuff with various things being sprayed and spat and thrown into people's faces. I had a giggle. I liked it. But when it is up and down across the card and the brackets of the tournament where, Yujiro's doing it and Jack Perry's doing it and Sho's doing it and Kanemaru's doing it and Evil's doing it and Ren's doing it, then it loses some of its impact. And I feel that it might have been better to have that focused with one person. Like, put all your eggs in the Narita basket. Have him being the House of Torture representative who's going deep in this tournament and have that sense of menace. Like, oh no, this cheating scumbag might make it to the finals. So that, I think, would have been more effective. I think having so much other House of Torture stuff with Evil going deep in the tournament and Jack Perry going deep in the tournament and having, what was it, 3 of the 4 quarterfinals being like House of Torture adjacent, lessened the impact and the potential benefit of Ren being in that spot.
I guess the question I have at that point is this. I don't think when Yota Tsuji wins New Japan Cup or better yet, makes it to the finals and helps finally put the final nail in the coffin of House of Torture for New Japan Cup run. I truly don't believe the people watching it are saying, "Oh, yes, he got one over on House of Torture," like it's 1975, right? and we're all just dummies with the heels and the faces and all that nonsense. Okay, like
I think that it, to some extent that is the case for the live crowd. And it raised a discussion in our Discord about whether the New Japan Cup was a tour that is designed to be watched to completion, or if it's something like a World Tag League or a Super Junior Tag League where you're not supposed to watch every single show. Because if you're just casual New Japan fan and New Japan shows coming to our town, rock up to the show, and then you see the dastardly heels getting their comeuppance, then yeah, and some of the reactions they were getting in the building suggested that that may very well be the case. But I feel with a tournament structure, that does encourage and invite the viewers to watch the whole thing. I mean, not all the undercards as well, but the tournament matches. And again, I just feel that the juice was not worth the squeeze there. Like, I understand what they're doing to get that moment for Tsuji, and also to set things up for Shota to vanquish them at some point in the next couple of months. But I just felt that they got the balance of it all wrong.
Yeah. I mean, but again, like from a live crowd perspective, sure, because even myself, when you're in the moment, of course, yes, that's pro wrestling. Like, you could sit there on your fucking hands all day, great. But if you want to get into it, that's what you're kind of doing and making noise and cheering along and doing that. But I'm talking more along the lines of the overall perspective of a fan that watches this product. Like, you're not cheering the fact that Yota Tsuji, and again, maybe he's a bad example because we want good things for him sooner than later. But if anyone beats somebody from House of Torture, it's more, and especially in that role and that prominence in New Japan Cup, like you're cheering that the booking fucking woke up and I'll put in air quotes, did the right thing, right?
Yes, yeah. You don't want to feel that invisible hand of the booker, but it was very tangible in this tournament,
No doubt. So every time, please, New Japan, don't confuse the fact of, yes, okay, from a live crowd perspective, they're into it and they're in. Great, absolutely. But I highly doubt that even those people that are in the arena, if you ask them afterward, they were cheering for good guys versus bad guys and the good guys getting the comeuppance. No, they were relieved in the fact that, oh, thank fucking God somebody went over other than these clowns, because I don't know, watch them again. And
well, I've got a funny anecdote from Andrew, who was at one of these shows when, I can't remember who it was, but they went brawling into the crowd, and apparently he overheard, I think it was like a mother with her child saying, "Oh, great, they're brawling in the crowd. They've not done this for a while," and was like genuinely thrilled at the idea of these wrestlers, throwing each other into chairs ringside. So I acknowledge that there's maybe a bit of a disconnect there, and you get all the lovely polls that have the fan polls where House of Torture is this most popular faction. Okay, fine, I accept all of that, and maybe I'm in the minority. I'm not in a minority. I feel it's too much of it on this tour for me, for my taste, too much.
And again, the idea of for World Tag League, I'll give you, because it's a long, many times boring, many times the individual matches don't mean as much as the totals do, if you know what I mean. Whereas New Japan Cup's single elimination. So okay, yeah, I mean, I think people need to watch every fucking tournament match. Of course, it's because the stakes are so high. And if they didn't want that, then they shouldn't have it. They shouldn't have that. G1's a bit different in the sense that the importance of it, it's arguably the most important time of the year for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, you want to get into it. You want to get into it. Does that mean that you're going to watch, the undercards and the multi-man tags? And okay, your mileage is going to vary, but this is a significant time. Single elimination tournament, like, people are going to fucking watch it, no doubt.
And right after the departure of Okada and Ospreay, and to a lesser extent Tama Tonga, a lot of eyeballs on the product.
Yep, because they want to see. Okay, there are the doomsdayers that want to see how New Japan fucking crawls their way out of the depths of hell. And trust me, they'll be fine. But you are losing significant talent. And okay, what's the company going to do? Who are they going to push? How are they going to respond? How are the fans going to respond? There's a lot of things that people are interested in, over and above just, I like pro wrestling and I'm going to sit there and just smile at everything and I'm just going to enjoy and I'm just going to, I don't want to know numbers and business because that's scary stuff. I just want to enjoy it. Shut up. Shut up.
You sound very similar to some podcasts. I know there was a lot of that going on, a lot of puro-splaining from people who should probably know better, wagging their fingers saying all people have got very short memories. It was just the same in 2015 or whatever when it was AJ Styles doing it. Like, come on, don't do that. Don't piss in my pockets and tell me it's raining. Don't try and compare Evil with AJ Styles because I'm not buying it. Like, you don't even believe that. That is an extremely disingenuous thing to do. Like, oh, it's always been like this in this company. And,
Has it?
Oh, you don't
How
get
long
it.
have you been watching?
You should go and watch something else.
Guess what? I got tapes older than you probably, you fucks. You know what I mean? Like, okay, stop. You're going to try to explain that to, I hate to be the guy standing on top of the fucking mountain, but I'm hard pressed to find people who have watched as much New Japan as fucking me. Sorry. So you can get right up the street with that bullshit. You don't.
I guess what people didn't like it then when it was Yujiro interfering in IWGP title matches. People didn't like that either.
Right. Exactly. And again, I hate to bring the fucking the world to a grinding halt, but in a world where you had Flair and Dusty and Roadies and Horsemen and Midnight Express and Rock and Rolls and all that, you still had fucking Lasertron. And it's not like we were all going crazy over fucking Lasertron. Ugh, I just hate people. I'll leave it at that. Full stop. I just hate people.
Just hate the general public.
Yeah. All right.
Another person I wanted to touch on was Jack Perry. So he made it all the way up to, was it the quarterfinals again? And was defeated once again by Sanada in a nothing match. Like, there was very little there, no chemistry, much like the Forbidden Door match. And I don't necessarily want to judge Jack Perry by his matches against Sanada, but I just wanted to touch base with you on how you feel his run has been so far. And, if the comments from, I think it was the Wrestling Observer about Tony Khan, like, genuinely being upset with this guy for costing him CM Punk. I don't know how much of that is a work or a shoot, like if this guy's going to be going back to AEW anytime soon, but how are you feeling about the run so far?
I mean, if you want an honest opinion, to me, it's insignificant. It really is. Like, I don't, if he left tomorrow, I don't think I would lose an ounce of sleep. That being said, I don't think he was horrible. I don't think he was, something where I actively was, reaching for the remote and fast forwarding. I think he was perfectly average. And truth be told, I didn't really have high expectations anyway. So, I appreciate the fact that he gave it the old college try, and I'm sure we'll see some more of him in the States, apparently, as maybe even in Japan. But, like, to me, I don't know. Like, it's not somebody. First of all, it's not somebody I would want to build anything around, and secondly, I just don't think, as we like to say, the juice is worth the squeeze. There, I think that there are bigger fish to fry. We have bigger problems, bigger challenges ahead of us, and I don't think any of that gets solved by Jack Perry. Right? I just don't. And again, I'm not shitting on him. Like, I think he could find work in the States if, stranger things have happened, if things could get patched up, because I think he's better tailored and better suited for that. For New Japan, okay, again, House of Torture, and maybe it's just that I'm more focused on than him per se. Maybe he's just in a bad spot. But to me, it's just one of those things where, okay, they brought a guy in, and if we never saw him again, I wouldn't lose any sleep.
And I think also emblematic of a larger issue with New Japan at the moment, which is the predominance of mediocre white wrestlers being overpushed, to be quite honest. Whereas, I would love to see more from guys that they've already got on their roster. Like, let's see some more Taichi, or as they've done in this instance, more from Hiroki Goto, or let's say a bit more of Satoshi Kojima, who they've got nothing for. So, a lot of guys who I would rather see featured rather than just being like, oh, here's a white wrestler that the Western fans might know. Let's bring him in to be mid.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. How long ago did they win those titles? February?
Who are we talking about?
Oh, both. Riddle and Dolphy boy.
Nemeth. Yeah. February.
Okay. So it hasn't been a long time, but is there any significant movement in any numbers, any return on investment, anything that we're excited about in the month that they've had these titles? I mean, to me, I completely forget about them sometimes, right? And who actually holds these titles? And again, they're not going to be on tours all the time, right? They're going to pop in and out on big shows. And from the time Jericho was here, and from the times that others have been here, look, New Japan has always been a touring company, and that those tours were supplemented by Western wrestlers. Always, right? It's always been the case. That being said, the people that they brought in, it felt at least there was some significance with them being there. Whereas now it's just like, okay, they just give guys titles and they disappear for months on end. You don't hear from them. You forget the titles even exist, and they show up for bigger shows. Like I don't know anybody who likes that from a New Japan perspective, and I also don't know anyone who likes it from if you're a fan of Matt Riddle. Like, if you're a fan of Matt Riddle, are you pumped up that he's the fucking TV champion? Right? I don't know. I just don't. I don't know where the benefit in that thinking is, and I don't know why they constantly do that. I don't understand it. Like, there is no, like Matt Riddle showing up on an indie show. Is that going to pop a house? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see how New Japan benefits from that train of thought. But they consistently do it.
Right. Also, we had David Finlay was unwell, and that gave Hiroki Goto a bye to the semi-finals of the tournament. So, yeah, from what I've heard, he's not doing too well. Apparently, I don't know if it was something ear-related or he's lost some vision. I don't know. It sounded quite nasty, so I hope he's okay. What do you think the original plan was? Do you think, had he not got unwell, that he would have been going all the way to the final or possibly winning the cup?
I had him in the finals. I mean, but I had Zach in there too. I would think that would have been a plan. It's kind of hard to say, to be honest with you, but it seems like that would be the course that they were taking. And again, when we go over those letter grades for how did you overall feel about the New Japan Cup this year, we do have to consider, that I'm sure things were booked on the fly a little bit, and they had to make some pretty quick decisions and drastic decisions, and go to Plan B, Plan C, and maybe even Plan D to get through it. So I don't know. I hope he's all right. It just seems, I don't know. Like, when you start to feel something from him, something happens and it gets pulled away from him. I don't know. It's a weird thing with David Finlay. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but the guy seems jinxed, to be quite honest with you.
So they did pivot to Hiroki Goto, who went on and faced Sanada in the semi-final, and surprisingly for me, beat him, which I thought was a good choice and a bold choice, and something I want to applaud New Japan for, because I thought they'd just go with Sanada if he hadn't already been the plan. So, yeah, a lot of things to be said about Hiroki Goto. So without getting into the final specifically, I thought it was one of these instances, and I was talking on the Discord earlier to
Pete. In Gavilia. What?
Batur, who was saying, who likened it to, when WWE, something goes wrong for them, someone gets hurt or something forces their hands, they've got their backs to the wall and they're forced into booking something on the fly. And the plans get changed at the last minute and they do something that they think the crowd will actually enjoy, and then it turns out being really good. It's felt kind of like that. I don't believe that Goto going to the final was the original plan, but I really like what they pivoted to. And I felt there was a lot of, this sort of classic New Japan thing where us as the fans are sort of filling in the blanks and doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of filling in storyline significance. But, Goto was doing a really good job as well, talking about his father who passed away. And I felt that there was a lot of intrigue and a lot of drama and goodwill towards him. People were sort of buying into this idea of, this being his last hurrah, and, maybe he's going to win the cup and get another championship shot against to lose. Yeah, he would definitely lose it. He would have to lose it. But I felt that there was a lot of drama in that. And, we talk a lot about guys getting the tap on the shoulder. Goto is a guy who has not received a tap on the shoulder in a singles capacity for a very long time. I mean, in terms of something this significant, what are we thinking? Like the 2016 G1 final against Kenny Omega? I mean, you could probably talk about this better than I, but that was quite a surprise at the time, wasn't it?
A bit. So, I mean, he still was in the mix. Like, he was still, like, Intercontinental mix, and, he was coming off of his, his resurrection, if you will, underneath the waterfall, the cleansing. I sat here last week, didn't I? And said, I'm not saying he's washed, but he's definitely better suited for tag scenarios. And he shut my mouth. He proved me wrong.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because we got a question. So Michael Cece says, great story to reach the semi-finals against All Odds. Hiroki Goto of Coventry City. Penguin says, can Damon apologise to Goto? And Elliot says, a few years ago, I told you guys how Goto is the wrestler you're never excited to see, but then he always impresses. Do we think that still applies to him?
Yeah. I mean, look, I was dead fucking wrong. Dead wrong. I'll take that loss, and I will sit here and apologize until my face turns blue. Yes, no doubt. A sincere apology, because I was wrong. And here's the thing too. We talk a lot about how we want these youngsters to be in the ring in significant spots with veterans and guys where they can learn something from the people who have been there and done that. And Goto's the perfect guy, because even though I'm like, oh, he's Mr. Tag Team now. Okay, well, guess what? He can still fucking go. And to be able to have a guy put in a spot. Here's another thing too. Hiroki Goto could have said, go fuck yourself. I ain't doing that. Right? He could have absolutely done that.
As others in his faction have, if rumors are to be believed, done similarly recently.
Absolutely correct. So, again, I got to give him credit for that. I got to give him credit for the match. I got to give him credit for being a person. I mean, in hindsight, which is always 20/20, by the way, Hiroki Goto might have been the perfect opponent, given the situation, the timing, the spot, who he is, what he's done, how he can just, in that 20-minute, 30-minute match, give him a lifetime of experience in just one match. I mean, let's put it this way. I don't know how the math would work out in the fucking brackets, but whatever. Let's just say it wound up being David Finlay and Tsuji. I think the benefits of having a match with Goto in that spot is tenfold over what David Finlay would have brought to the table. Tenfold. And I'm hard pressed.
Yeah, there were really immaculate vibes in the match. Like, the crowd were really into it, and two homegrown guys where it seemed like they sort of got themselves into a win-win situation, and just the crowd were really into it. And I just don't think we would have got that same kind of feel-good. This is what we want from New Japan Pro Wrestling, isn't it? We want two beefy Japanese dudes just beating each other up in the ring. That's what we like.
That's what I like. I mean, trust me. And you can. We say, the white guys are taking over. Okay, but understand that. But like this is what we want for this company. I mean, that is the blueprint, and it's always been the blueprint. To a large degree. I mean, at least since fucking Riki Choshu and Tatsumi Fujinami, right? I mean, what was that, 82? So, yeah, I mean, this is... Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, plant a flag in that moment, and here's, But it is a moment, absolutely, but you never can tell with this fucking booking. Who knows? I don't want to sit there and be like, this is it, the rocket's strapped on.
That's it. I just don't trust them. This is the problem.
Right. I mean,
like, nothing hits when they get out of their own way and actually get their shit together. Nothing hits for me. Nothing hits like New Japan. And like this final, it wasn't a Meltzer stars busting thing that's going to get loads of love when it comes to sort of casual year end awards, but it made me feel great.
Yeah.
And when New Japan does that, nothing hits like that. But they're not doing it consistently enough for me to say, we're back.
You nailed it. I mean, that's really it. And again, they booked on the fly a little bit, and they had to make some adjustments, and it worked. But in hindsight, like I said, I can't think of a better fit for a finals. And like I said, I was wrong, but looking back, I couldn't have been happier with the idea of him being in the finals, both of them, the result, as well as again what really is on the table there with that match. It's not just him getting a big win, finally a youngster pulling it out and making it work, and all. It's look at the knowledge and the. Like, we talked about Ren and, how this gimmick, how is it helping him become a better wrestler, right? But, like, to me, that finals match, that's one of those things where it's like, wow, okay, I'm sure there were more than a few light bulb moments going off in that guy's head being like, oh, okay, I see why we're doing this. Oh, okay, I see why I'm not doing this. And I think, to me, that type of development, which is incredibly important for a pro wrestler's development, like that's school. Let me take that back. Dojo is school. That's university, right? That's university right there. That's really getting into the beginnings of the nuances and the art of what these guys do. So, yeah, I think it's more significant than just, hey, let's take a picture of you with a trophy and we'll remember this when we do our video montage packages in 3 years. It's more than that. It's a huge leap, and we'll see how it works. 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. But to me, I think it's a significant leap in a young wrestler's development that I think is far more important than the trophy.
Yeah, I mean, Tsuji is clearly ahead of the pack, at least in terms of the booking, where he came out of the gates with that incredibly hot debut angle and having that big match, the main event in Dominion, and now he's the first guy to win a singles tournament. So I think this is a really big deal, and I applaud New Japan for being bold in their booking and actually booking Yota Tsuji to win the New Japan Cup, because, I mean, to me, he is the guy who seems to have put everything together the quickest and made that crowd connection. And, maybe some of the sort of connective parts of his game need some tightening up, sure. But in terms of excitement and being able to do the flashy stuff and give you those memorable moments, I mean, how fucking great was that bit when Goto did the Rainmaker pose, was about to hit the Rainmaker on Tsuji, and then he hit him with that short distance G-blast. I mean, that is the moment that's going to stick in my mind for that match, and I think the tournament writ large. But yeah, I think in terms of how he is standing out amongst his peers, he looks like the man at the moment, doesn't he?
Does. Well, I mean, just get ready when Ren Narita wins G1. that'll be something. Yeah. Look, again, I sat here and I said, it's not about the fucking video montage, but it's important. Like it is, it is. But to me, it's the connective tissue of making this guy a better pro wrestler. Look, I'm glad that they picked somebody, and to me, going with him is not a mistake by any stretch. I'm glad it's someone. If they decided to, let's put it this way. I mean, again, whether you believe that this one at this stage of his career is better than this one, fine. But let's just say if they went with fucking, I don't know, Shota, for just sake of argument, would you care? I just wanted one of them. Pick one, and let's go. Let's get moving.
Yes, definitely. And also, I think it's been a really smart use of the more experienced wrestlers in the company, because we have to acknowledge the fact that there is that sort of talent gap, the generational gap, a gap on the roster. So, when you have guys like Okada and Ospreay and Jay White and Ibushi, all those guys being taken out of the mix, then there does seem to be a big power vacuum there. And I think it's really good the way that they seem to be using the more experienced wrestlers who still have a lot of quality. You guys like Taichi and Jeff Cobb and Hiroki Goto and Shingo to work with the younger wrestlers and lean into that as a story, having that being the theme of the year. Like, we've got a big power vacuum here, and we've got the old guards who think the youngsters don't deserve it, and then we've got the young up and comers who are going to have to come and take that spot rather than have it handed to them. And it turned into a very compelling bit of drama and storytelling for this final, and I hope something that they do more for the rest of this year.
Absolutely. It should be the focus. And let's be very clear. It's not like New Japan hasn't done that before. And it's not like, one of the greatest eras. And again, talent-wise, also, it was off the fucking charts. But understand that the foundation of a lot of All Japan's, amazing early 90s run was the young guys making a move to take on the established guard. And the established guard saying, well, fuck that. No, I'm not done yet. And the youngsters being like, nope, it's our time now. And the battles that ensued. And the fact that they lived off of that idea for years, making All Japan incredibly financially successful. So there's history there, right? It's not like this would be reinventing the wheel. But to me, that's if you leaned into that New Japan this year, next year, I mean, that's where we should be. I'm thinking back, like Hiroki Goto is a perfect example of a guy who's at that age that can, and again, prove me wrong, can still go. Like Tomohiro Ishii, I guess, would be in that mix, I would think. Maybe even a little lower when it comes to importance. Is Shingo that guy? Like, I'm kind of glad it was Goto in that role, not Shingo, because I still think Shingo's a valuable tool that you need to somewhat protect. But I think a challenge that I have in my mind is, okay, like, who is the Jumbo Tsuruta that's going to be the fucking thorn in the side of the Misawas and the Kawatas and those guys? I think that's an important thing that I think New Japan has. Like, I don't know who that guy would be. Like, it's not Hiroshi Tanahashi, I don't think, at this point, right? I think everyone can agree with that. But who's that guy? If they were going to go that route, right? Like, or who are those guys? Like, it can't be Yuji fucking Nagata, right? I mean, we're well past that point of it being like that significant. So that's my only concern. But yes, it should be that going into the rest of this year and next year.
Yeah, B. Frank says, is Shingo the best worker in the company? And if not, who is? So that led to another interesting discussion in the Discord about, like, who do you think are like the big four in terms of the best workers, guys that you can rely on, that if you need to have a killer match in the main event of a big show, who are the four guys that you most trust to plug into that spot and deliver?
Right. Well, I thought you were going to say the best worker was Walker Stewart. No? No? Let's see here. The question is, or who the guy? Well, Shingo's got to be very high on that list.
Yeah. Zach.
Yep.
Naito.
I don't know. I have a lot of reservations about Naito at this point. Like, I think
About Despy.
Injuries and shit like that. He's not this guy that he was 4 years ago, at least, or 5 years ago, or 3 years ago. But again, when I say that, I'm talking like elite type. You're at the top of your game, all that. That's a tough one, dude. I gotta be honest with you. Despy. I don't know.
Taichi.
That's one guy I thought could use a bit more spotlight. I'm a little disappointed in the fact that after all the good that he's done, boy, they really haven't, or at least it's felt like they have not used him at all. Maybe. I mean, maybe. I'm really going through the roster and being like, okay, so who's the fucking guy that's going to be just tap on the shoulder, go out there and fucking bring the house down? That's tough. Because I don't think Hiromu is that guy anymore. He can have great matches, but yeah, I don't know.
Here's a left field one. How about Jeff Cobb? Where does he stack up? Because I think he's a guy who. But my favourite match of this whole tournament, in terms of spectacle, was him against Tsuji.
I mean, again, I think all of them can go, but I'm talking about just top tier. I mean, do you trust? I think Jeff Cobb is very good, but I think he's upper middle, right? Like, I don't know. Do I tap this guy for a G1 final? Do you tap him on the shoulder?
Okay. Let me. Other question then. United Empire new leader, him or TJP?
Oh, Cobb.
Yeah.
Hands down. Hands down. No, I mean, without even thinking twice. I mean, just, yes, Cobb. But again,
I think he deserves a chance, right? He did outstanding work during the pandemic when crowds weren't allowed to cheer, and guys like him and Shingo just didn't make a fuss, got on with it, and delivered what the company really desperately needed at that point.
Yes.
I think worth a second try.
Okay. And again, I'm not shitting on him. I love watching him in the ring. Love it. I don't know if I'm thinking like, okay, give me two guys, G1 finals, that you don't even need to think about. It's going to be great. Like, legitimately, you're like, there's no way this could be terrible. There's no way this could be less than, if we're throwing stars, around 4 stars, right? And the ceiling might be over 5. Like, who's the two guys? Shingo? And who?
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, I think New Japan are kind of past this era of having the roster to be able to deliver those kind of, like I said, the star-busting matches that are going to get that casual Western fan attention. So that's why I think maybe we shouldn't be worrying about that so much and just worry more about telling good, compelling stories. Let's have more of Goto versus Tsuji, which, wasn't a 5-star brilliant moves match. It wasn't a work rate match. I mean, there was great work in it, but it had the drama and coherent storytelling and a lot of emotion into it. And I think New Japan needs to recognize that is their lane now and stay in it.
I would say if I had to put money on it, I think Zach is probably my number one, and I would say Shingo is 1A. So if I were looking at a G1 final that I needed to be great, I think I would feel comfortable with that. How about you?
Yeah, I think for my own personal enjoyment, Zach, Shingo, Taichi, and Naito, I'd say would be my my big four. But
I mean, Naito's fair. I
we're
just
in a
worry about
different
the
era.
injuries. That's all. That's the only thing I worry about.
Yeah. Dr. Gary says, with a very hot HOT summit ahead, do you think we will see any more members of the House of Torture? No, I do not think so. However, I do think we may see some, interfactional movement. So, I think that will be. I think there are some spots to be filled in factions. We talked about a guy earlier who might be on his way out of a particular faction and out of the business if rumours to be believed. And maybe that is opening up a spot to be filled. I think there's definitely going to be some movement across factions as the months go on. Let's just look forward then, actually, about Sakura Genesis. So Gabby says, how big is Yota Tsuji's dick? John says, if Tsuji wins Sakura Genesis, what would that mean for LIJ? Would he be the de facto leader, or will he fulfill his destiny and join House of Torture? Obviously, we're going to preview Sakura Genesis nearer the time, but just your gut feeling at the moment, what is the short-term future for the IWGP World Championship?
Okay. When is the Chicago show?
I'm glad you've asked me that, Damon. The Chicago show is on Friday, April 12th.
Okay.
So Sakura Genesis is April 6th. Windy City Riot is April 12th. Are you sensing IWGP heavyweight gold in the future of one John Moxley?
Yeah. I hate to say it. I really do. I'm very concerned of that show. I'm very concerned.
Do you think that would be a bad move?
It would be a move that categorically would probably fall into Damon's not going to like this. But that being said, I think that there is more, and this is, again, going against everything that I just talked about, but I think him being champion is more valuable and potentially can help the company in the sense of we need to establish, again, homegrown stars. I kind of like, there's a part of me that's like, that's not a bad thing, him winning the title. And then there's another part of me that's like, this is not what we want. But if I'm really being honest, I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't. And I think it could be something that overall, in general, when he loses, would be more significant. Here's my biggest, you know what it is? I would be okay with him winning in Chicago. It's a big building. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. And again, I think that there's money in like Mox and Shota. That we've been talking about that for a while now. I just don't want to see a situation where, okay, we can't have our champion lose. So Sakura Genesis, I think we're looking at Naito winning. To me, I think that's where we're going. I could be dead wrong. Let's go with that. Let's say he wins. He goes to Chicago. He loses the belt. That would be totally fine with me. What I don't want to have happen is we're in a situation where we have our world champion and we have Jon Moxley, who, as has been well documented, doesn't lose. He does not get pinned. That concerns me because how do you get out of that? Like, if you're not going to drop the title, right, then how do you get out of that?
Well, of course he would. I mean, he'd drop it at some point. I think the more interesting question would be, let's say, hypothetically, Mox does win the title off Naito at Windy City, right? Who would be the best choice to get it back from him? Would it be Naito regaining the title to get his heat back? Would you maybe pivot to Zack? Because I don't think Zack Sabre Jr. has wrestled Jon Moxley in a singles match. Remember, they teased one just before the pandemic hit. Or do you do a long-term thing and have Shota Umino be the guy to take it?
That's what I'm saying. I think that scenario is probably the more unlikely happening, right? That's just, I feel like, well, here's this built-in story that would be pretty interesting to me. look, I mean, I might just be pie in the sky in it and just being like, Naito wins and that's that. I don't know. For whatever reason, I really feel like Chicago is going to be where a title changes. I really, 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 really do. And I don't have any pastrami. I don't have any fucking inside bullshit.
I mean, just looking at the rest of this card for the New Japan Cup final, honestly, I don't think that there was anything in there that really warrants discussion. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they've set up for the future. So it looks like we're going to get programs with Yo challenging Sho for the junior title. So Yo versus Sho again. Hooray. Shingo has been talking about getting the Never title back from Evil. Tagaloa wants a piece of the KOPW championship from Great Okan. Oh, Christ. So Hiroki Goto, doing the job, helping to make Yota Tsuji into a star. And what is his reward? He gets attacked backstage by the Bullet Club shitters, Kenta and Chase Owens. So it looks like we're going back to Bishamon versus Kenta and Chase. There was some talk from Shota. So he says he's going to destroy House of Torture, and something like him and someone he's referred to as Divine Punishment versus Ren and Jack Perry. So some sort of mystery partner situation set up there for Shota. I don't know who that is, but something to keep an eye on. Nick Nemeth has called out Ishii, so they're going to have a match. I believe that will be in Chicago. Mm. The Intergalactic Jet Setters are back, so Kushida and Kevin Knight challenged the War Dogs for the junior tag titles, but Catch 2-2 were not very impressed about that, so there might be some involvement from them. And I believe Zack Sabre Jr. and Mikey Nichols said that they would like to challenge ELP and Hikuleo for the Strong tag titles. So a lot of stuff set up in recent days. Any of that stand out to you, good or bad?
You wonder why I have worries that Yota Tsuji winning the New Japan Cup doesn't mean dick. Right? Yeah, wonders. And I mean, I don't want to be negative Ned here, but there's not a lot there that I'm sinking my teeth into, Joel. Not a lot. That's not a sexy springtime, right? There's nothing there. Like, give me one thing that you're pumped up about. Again, everybody has their dream match against Ishii, right? But unfortunately, you're like at least 5 years too late, right? Like, if you think you're getting,
I don't think so. No, I'm into that. I want to see, can Nick Nemeth do the New Japan style, because all I've seen so far is him working the WWE style. So that will be interesting for me, at the very least, to see, can he work something a bit different?
I think he's. Here's the thing. I do think he's good. I think he's, he's probably on the downward slope, right? Just age and everything, but it's going to be a test, and I'm curious to see how he makes out. Listen. If he comes out of the other side of this match looking like a fucking killer, then hey, we got a bonus here, right? At least we got something we know we can work with. I think that's the biggest question mark with him. Like, I think he's good, I really do. But maybe I'm thinking of Nick 5 years ago, 7 years ago, right? Maybe that's what I have in my head. And Ishii is a measuring stick. Let's not beat around the bush. Like, if he walks out of that match having a great one, we'll definitely see him we'll look at him more favorably. Let's put it that way, and we'll feel like we have at least a fighting chance with him being put in matches that could turn out to be good. And again, it's fucking Tomohiro. I mean, the guy can have a good match, right? If you just fucking follow his lead, he'll have a good match. But let's see. I think that's okay. So if you're asking me if there's anything, that's probably the one thing where I'm like, okay, let me circle that and keep an eye on that.
Baseball fans, are you excited for the upcoming season? I know I am. It is time to gear up and show your team spirit with MLB Shop, the official online store of Major League Baseball. Find the latest jerseys, hats, apparel, and collectibles for all 30 MLB teams at MLB Shop. Represent your favorite players, your hometown team, or relive classic moments with exclusive throwback gear. Gear up for the season at MLB Shop. Whether you're cheering from the stands or watching at home, show your love for the game with official MLB merchandise. Make sure you use our exclusive link, voicesofwrestling.com/MLB Shop, to help support the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Again, it's voicesofwrestling.com/MLB Shop. You'll pay the exact same price, the exact same items. Everything is exactly the same about your shopping experience, but a small percentage of every sale comes back to us. So again, it's voicesofwrestling.com/MLB Shop, the official online store of Major League Baseball.
I think there's some. I think Windy City Right is shaping up to be a really, really strong card and one that will get me excited. But I'll wait and see what Sakura Genesis looks like. Hopefully, they get the balance a bit better in terms of House of Torture and everything else. But I'll wait in hope more than expectation. Here's a question. John says, would you want Shelton Benjamin back in New Japan since he's free now?
I mean, he spent a lot of time in New Japan. His time there I thought he was good. I really haven't seen him recently to be able to be like, yep, we should scoop him up. I don't know. Because again, I haven't seen him in years. I mean, maybe people can give me a little report, maybe give me a little rundown on how he's looking. I would be a little hesitant though. Again, we're talking about people who their prime was, 10 years ago? You know, that's in pro wrestling years, that's like fucking 100.
Closer to 20, I would say.
I mean, right? I mean, I think I'm being generous with 10, right? I don't know. I'd really have to be like, okay, you give me 3 matches in the past 5 years that have been at least really good, we'll have a conversation. But if not, what's the point? Like, what would be the benefit?
Matthew says, continue my gimmick of asking about the 2023 J-Cast Awards. This week's question, what are some of the other Super J-Cast Award categories? Yeah. Sorry for making one up last week. I'll tell you what, I will give you... I might do a few here. Show of the Year was Wrestle Kingdom 17 by some distance. Yeah. Sakura Genesis second, Dominion third. Did we do Tag Team of the Year already? I think we did.
Was it?
It was Bishamon.
Oh, yes, that's right. And then,
Catch 2-2 second, and the Okada Tanahashi Ishii Dream Team in third. Quite close, that one. Junior Heavyweight was Hiromu in first place, and Despy second place, and Wato in third place, which is nice for him. Unsung Wrestler of the Year, pretty sizable victory margin here. Henare, nice. Getting top spot there, which well deserved. Doki in second place, and Titan in third place. So
Titan's a good vote, actually.
Yeah. Most improved wrestler of the year in the first place was Shota Umino, second place Gabe Kidd, and third place Master Wato. Very, very close between Kidd and Wato, but Shota Umino pretty comfortably ahead.
Not bad.
And I've also got another most improved wrestler of the year. No, that's not most improved wrestler. That's breakout star of the year. I've just written the wrong thing here. Yota Tsuji, first place. Big victory there. Shota Umino second, Gabe Kidd third. Biggest disappointment of the year. First place, AEW relationship. Ooh. Second place, dropping of Okada versus Zuma story, which hopefully we've been able to provide some different perspectives on. And third place, pushed wrestlers, Sanada, Finlay, Guerrillas of Destiny, etc. Fourth place, young talent in Limbo. So,
I mean, I think it's a lot of the, just sliced in. It's the same pie, but just in different slices, right? I think like a lot of the frustration that fans were feeling, covers all that. That's for sure.
Favorite wrestler of the year: Will Ospreay first, Zack second, Naito third, Okada fourth, Tsuji fifth, which is quite interesting. So two of those 5 have now left. But sixth place, this is interesting. El Desperado. I'm going to go to the top 10. So we've got Ospreay, Zack, Naito, Okada, Tsuji, Despy, Shingo, Gabe Kidd, Ishii, Hiromu, Shota. That might be more than 10. But an interesting list there.
Yeah, that is. Let me ask you this. I don't know if you have any more awards to go through. It's almost 25% of the year is done, Joe. And I know we'd love to do this. At the 25% mark, we're probably at like 21, 22%. Who's your New Japan Pro Wrestler of the year?
Ooh. Yeah. There's not really anyone standing out.
No.
There've not been that many blow-away great matches, to be honest.
How about Zach? Zach and Bryan Danielson was pretty great. Although that really wasn't well, it was. Okay, Osaka.
Bryan Danielson's probably got the best output in New Japan shows.
You're probably right. Yeah, it's a tough one, right? Would you go Tsuji?
It was a very impressive cup run.
Okay.
The Cobb, ELP, Ren, Evil, and Goto. That was a really nice run. Very, very strong.
Yeah. Again, it's 20% of the year. I mean, we got plenty more to go, obviously. But I just thought I'd throw that out there only because I have this little LCD kind of sports ticker kind of thing, and on it I have a thing where it shows you the percentage of the year, and it just popped up like 25% of the year is done. What have you accomplished? To make you feel bad while you're sitting in your fucking office with your dick in your hand. So that's why I brought that up. There you go. So, all right. Where do you want to go next? We've been talking for about an hour, 15 minutes. Feels like we covered everything, but you tell me.
We have covered everything.
Are we done?
Do a few more questions,
We'll
maybe.
do questions. I'll do questions.
All
That was a good time for them, right?
Ingring Art says favorite In-Betweeners episode. Have you ever watched the In-Betweeners?
I've heard of it. I don't think I've sat through it. No. Is it? It's not the same as like Coronation Street, like all the bands that I listen to.
No, it's about a bunch of secondary school boys, which I really like it because it's something I very much could relate to my own experiences when I was sort of towards the tail end of secondary school. In terms of, I don't know, I can't really think of episode. Maybe the one where the guy is trying to get off with the girl that he really likes and ends up being sick all over her. That's quite a funny one.
Is it an 80s show or a 90s show?
Oh, no, it's like 2000s In-Betweeners. Yeah, we're sort of late 2000s, so 2008, I think it started.
Is that
like a coming-of-age television teen sitcom?
Is that a British slang, In-Betweeners? Because there's a sleeper song called In-Betweeners. I don't know if there's any significance.
I think it's just referring to the fact that they're sort of not kids, but not quite adults yet.
Okay, that's called a teenager.
Not old enough to drink at a pub legally, basically.
That reminds me of the young ones bit. We can go to war, we could vote, but we can't drink in the pubs. Sorry.
I love the young ones.
Oh, the young ones are so
the universally challenged episode. That's my favorite one.
Yeah,
Scumbag College.
Scumbag College prick. So good. The best part is they show the shot and wait. Did you know Hugh Laurie was in that? He's like Lord Snot.
Yeah. You mention it,
like when they do the music. They do like the opening thing, and they show the school on top and the school on the bottom, and they're dancing. They're just like waving their arms, goofy. It's fun. I crack up every time I see that part. All right, stickiest bottom burp.
Daryl says, Joel, did you speak the native language of China or Thailand before you moved there? If not, how does one teach English to someone who they can't otherwise communicate with? It is a really good question. So the schools I taught at there, the kids, for the most part, have some understanding of English. Now, when I first moved to Thailand back in 2011, some of them had barely any English, so you just have to speak very slowly and clearly and use a lot of body language and a lot of visuals. But when you get into the international schools, like they can all pretty much speak English at that point. I mean, that's why the parents want to send their kids to international school, because they get exposed to English from a young age. So yeah, it becomes like a second language.
Could you speak any Chinese? Not you don't have to do it.
Oh yeah, I've not answered the question. No, well, actually, I did. I took Mandarin classes before I moved to China, not for my job, but just because I thought it would enhance my experience living in China. And then while I was in China, I took classes twice a week, like evening classes in Mandarin, because I had a better time there, being able to speak it and read it and talk to people there. But did not factor into my teaching job at all. But yeah, China, I think, is one of these places where the more you put in, the more you get out. Like, you can get by being in the expat bubble and not speaking the language, but if you do sort of make the effort, then people are very sort of rewarding, and you can sort of explore a bit more and sample a bit more of the local culture. And I miss it. I'm very sort of nostalgic about my time in China.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It's funny because, I started a new gig, and I don't even know how it came up, Joel, but like, you came up, and I had to explain how. Yeah, I went to Japan, and my friends were there. I didn't tell them what it was for, by no shot. Like, that will be kept a secret till I die. Pro wrestling. How old are you?
You know what, man? He always fucking tells people about it. Like, when we make new friends, he's like, "Oh, John's got a podcast about Japanese wrestling." I'm like, shut the fuck up! I don't want people to know about that.
Right? please no. But I had to explain how you were in Japan and the whole thing, and the kid situation, and how you were, you lived right near Ground Zero, and the whole thing where you couldn't get back in. You were living in a fucking hotel, and and they're just like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, this fucking dude I know, Joel." Yep, I told you, got to write that book, my man. That fucking book, it's gonna be killer.
I feel if you stitch together all the Jcast episodes throughout that period, that would be like a very interesting sort of audio log.
Oh my god! Yeah.
If you take just like the preamble before we actually start talking about New Japan, then that will make quite like a sort of World War Z style diary about how everything went to shit.
It's amazing. You know what? If somebody did that. Like, I remember being at one point really fucking scared. Like, everything was shut down and everything. I was like, what the fuck's going to happen? Like, I was like legitimately panicking. And I think like we were all worried about, we can't go anywhere, and we're stuck in a house, and like with one person or three people, and I'm going to get sick of these people very quickly. You know what I mean? And the idea of and I still to this day live it. Like, you can't hit a moving target. Well, guess what? That fucking target stopped. And it was like, wow, you really got to think about things. You're just like, oh, what the fuck? What a time we lived through, man. What a fucking time we lived through. Holy shit. Thank God that's done.
Making it out the other end to enjoy Great Okan versus Tangaloa feud. Here we go. Here's an interesting one. Andrew says the couple behind me at Korakuen had a heated debate during Finlay versus Tamatonga whether Tangaloa or Sanada was Ichiban Kawaii in New Japan.
Oh.
The two of you ever had an argument like that? Who is the Ichiban Kawaii in NJPW?
We really haven't had this conversation in a long time, have we? Look, as much as we shit on Sanada, there's no one fucking more handsome than that motherfucker, right? I mean, let's be truthful. That's a good looking dude. He's not.
I feel Yuya's got potential.
Yeah. It's there. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? It's there. That's not a bad pick. It's not a bad pick. I still think, even with his goofy fucking faces, I think Sho's got potential. Sho's got potential. No?
I can't go with him.
Come on.
No.
He's got that mouthpiece. He's gonna make a goofy face while he's eating your ass.
No, it's the cauliflower ears. I can't vibe with the cauliflower ears.
That's pro wrestling. Come on. That's how it gets all calloused up. And then I think Walker Stewart is
yes. I mean, that very luscious beard. It looks very soft and well kept.
I'm going to ask him a question, though. The next time he's got to get another fucking jacket. He wears the same fucking jacket every show, right? Same jacket, same tie.
I hadn't noticed.
Right? Come on, dude. And here's the problem, too. The problem is that the tie itself, right? It's a little flashy. It's not just a solid color. There's a pattern in it, so it's going to be recognizable. I mean, go to fucking DXL or to fucking the States when you're home. Pick up a couple more ties, 1 or 2. You don't even need to change out the jacket. If you change up the tie, you're going to fucking divert people's attention to the tie, right? Come on, you got. And here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. He ain't hit summertime, and I know he lives in Oklahoma, right? I know he thinks he's felt summertime heat. He ain't felt shit. It's going to knock him on his fucking socks. Did he? Oh, speaking of knocking him off, didn't he fall out of a fucking chair or the chair broke? Holy shit! I felt so bad for the guy. That's my worst nightmare. That is my worst night, especially in Japan, because everything's like not built for these Western hips, and I'm always afraid that fucking chair is just it. Like if I could put a microphone to a chair, it's just screaming, "Please get off of me! I can't do it." And it went out. I was like, "Oh, that poor fucking guy." I felt so bad for him because listen, you get to the point where you're like, okay, ha ha ha, yeah, you're laughing on the outside, but inside you just want to fucking jump off a bridge. I feel your pain, Walker Stewart. I feel your pain, but again, let's get him. Let's get a GoFundMe for a new suit for Walker Stewart. What do you say? Yeah, I mean, you know what they should do? New Japan should invest in like sports jackets, right? They should all have the same in a little patch. Like the old time sports guys. That would be awesome. I would love that. That's what I'm going to suggest. Dear Chris Charlton, please.
And you were ahead of the game when it came to the face masks, and that was before the pandemic. And that got poo-pooed, that idea.
I know.
But then that actually turned out being
the exact. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it got hand waved. I was like, all right, whatever. Thank you for submitting your thing. And yeah, okay. Well, that was that. Yeah, so whatever. Who knows? What the fuck? Nobody knows like business like us, Nobody knows. We just got all the ideas. We're the Kikuchi of our generation, I think. That's what it is.
Rob says, have you watched the new Takeshi's Castle? I started recently and spotted Honma and Togi Makabe in the first few episodes. What other TV roles would you like to see NJPW roster appear in? No, I've not watched that.
I love that.
I mean, this is a very old question. I'm digging through the archives here, but
I was about to say,
yeah, I'd like to check that one out.
that question. I mean, so are you familiar with what was it? MXC? Is it that they rebranded it? So they did. So in the States, they rebranded it as Most Extreme Challenge, right? And they dubbed over it with these 2 comedians, and like it might have been multiple people that they dubbed over, but like Guy Ledouche was one of the guys. It was just ridiculous. But that's the first time I knew of the show that was made from this. I didn't know a new one was out. I would definitely watch. I don't know why. There is something I gain pleasure in watching people violently get hurt. I don't know why. I don't know that and getting kicked in the balls. It's always funny to me. I don't know why. It just is.
I would like to see some of them in the UK Gladiators. Yeah. You got the American Gladiators, but the UK one would be good.
Yeah. I see. I like those dumb shows. I don't know why. Like I'm not a big. I hate reality shows. They're all staged and it's just all bullshit and the crowd shots and everybody's shocked and clutching my pearls. I can't believe that happened. But yeah, I do dig those type of shows. I just like to watch regular human beings compete against athletes and get their asses kicked. I love that. Nothing gets me more joy than that.
I tell you what, I was watching the other day that just really tickled me. You know those big floats that they have in those like Macy's parades? I was watching a compilation of those like massive balloons getting popped. I just couldn't stop laughing. I don't know why. And I was watching them and just like absolutely losing it. And then Esther was laughing as well. It was just something extremely funny.
We had a lot of balloon tragedies in the States. We have our Thanksgiving Day parade, which is a tradition in New York. And they would have those gigantic balloons. And one year, I don't know what happened. Like it was pretty windy that day, apparently. And I think someone got really fucked up. They may have even lost their life. I forget the whole story, but yeah, we've had a few balloon tragedies. Speaking of which, not tragedies, but things that made us laugh on the internet. There's a compilation of if I say the name Leslie Nielsen, would you know who that is? Airplane.
Yes, of course. Airplane.
And he always plays a straight laced guy, and then he just does goofy things. But there's a compilation. He would go on interviews, promoting a movie, doing the whole press junket. And he would have this fart sound machine that he would carry with him. And he would be like, so, Leslie, tell me about this new role in this movie. It sounds like it's right up your alley. But, well, yeah, I play the president, and I try to take it as seriously as possible. And, like on live TV. And it's just him.
Parts are funny. Parts will never not be funny.
It's unbelievably funny. I swear I must have watched it 100 times, and I laughed just as hard with every single time I watched it. Yeah, incredible. But it's him. It's like it's just his dumb fucking no sell of it, and just waiting for like reactions of other people. Like it's so fucking juvenile, but right up my alley. Love it. Chef's kiss, Leslie Nielsen. Chef's kiss.
Right, do you want some more? Diego says, does Damon or anyone else out there believe that Fat Frank Jersey All-Pro should be in a Hall of Fame, either the Observers or the one GCW started?
Wow. So I worked quite a few shows for Jersey All-Pro. And I knew Frank, it was like some Iavella or something like that. So who Frank was, Joel, he funded a New Japan tour. So they did Philly, New York, and Rahway, New Jersey. And this was like, MVP winning the Intercontinental title. Like that's how long ago this was. But it was like rookie Okada, and it's Shinsuke, and it's Togi Makabe, and it's Hiroshi Tanahashi, and like Kenny Omega's in the fucking opening match. It's just like looking back on it, it's pretty hilarious. Crazy. He lost his shirt with it though. Like he apparently lost a ton of fucking money with it. And I went to, I forget where I went, but I saw him, and I was like, "Yo, I don't know if you remember me." And I was like, he's like, "Oh my god, Madonna." Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But he passed away though. So the question is, what Hall of Fame are we doing?
I already deleted the question. Should Fat Frank be in a Hall of Fame, either the Observers or the one GCW started?
I mean, I don't know. Here's a problem. I don't know if people in fucking Seattle know of Jersey Pro and Frank and what he did. Like a lot of those shows were really good. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't know if it has like a far stretching impact that that might not be as significant to people again outside of New York, Jersey, Philly. I don't know if anybody in fucking North Carolina would know the significance. So unfortunately, I would have to say probably not. But if there was a Northeast Indie Hall of Fame, I think he should be in. I think his shows were pretty significant, pretty important. He gave Homicide and Low Key, and I think even AJ. I know Trent Acid, obviously, gave us work. So yeah, I mean, he was a good dude. He was a real good dude.
All right, well, that'll do it for today. redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to throw some money our way. And I was going to say send us proof of purchase and I'll let you in the Discord, but nobody should join our Discord. Nobody should post in the Discord. It's not a good idea.
It's really not.
Please don't.
Please don't.
Yeah. ProWrestlingTees.com/super-j-cast for our t-shirts. Thank you, Editor Dan, who's on Twitter at LousyHero219. Follow us on Twitter at the Super-J-Cast. Thanks everyone for listening, and goodbye and pussy in bio.
Hola, my name is Ricardo. I am the host of the Lucha Jovers podcast here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. We are a Spanish-speaking show dedicated to discussing and analyzing pro wrestling from all across the world. From AEW to CMLL, we talk about American wrestling, Japanese wrestling, and of course, Lucha Libre. if something big happened in the pro wrestling world, we will talk about it. So if you know Spanish or have a friend that knows Spanish or want to practice your lucha libre pronunciations, go listen to the Lucha Jovers podcast right here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Nos vemos por ahí.